Alright team, so I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a upper body strength and shoulder mobility work drill. So you'll see a couple clips here before I came down to the ground, before my heart rate came down, or while your heart rate is up, stay as elevated as possible. So I want to clip to my rope complex stretching routine that I typically do anytime I do upper body. It's just a very quick hold of the rope in very dynamic positions to both get your anterior delts, your medial delts, and open up in your lats. So it really kind of stretches and elongates everything in your shoulder girdle and around those core shoulder muscles. And then for the most part, you are elevated, so your heart stays over your head. So that allows your heart rate to come down nice and slow. Take deep breaths while you're in these positions. The clips may have been sped up just for, timing purposes, but for the most part, you can see how before I came down to the ground, my heart rate has been coming down with me. And so before I go into the ground, I always make sure, I always look down at my watch and I make sure that my heart rate is around 100 beats per minute or somewhere in that range before, again, my head goes below my heart. So I'm going to do a couple of more shoulder openers. These are a little bit more intense for the shoulders than what I would consider the rope complex to be. Typically one of the first movements I do, and my favorite movement, is just a thread the needle. It's another yoga stretch that I've learned over the years, and I find it very comfortable. And so you literally just thread your arm underneath your armpit, turn your chin towards the direction of the arm that's going underneath the armpit, and then if you want a little bit more of a dynamic bind, you can reach the opposite arm behind your back. And that's going to give you a big opener through your anterior delt, your medial delt, and just your overall heart opening muscles through your chest and pectoral wall. The next movement is going to be a little bit more of a dynamic mid-back, upper back stretch to open up the rear delts, open up your upper spinal column, and give you a really nice, open, relaxed position. And you can actually stay and hold this position for a very long time. I'm not 100% certain what this particular movement is called. It's typically just referred to as a spinal stretch in my yoga class, but you are going to want to put your arms in a T position with your head turned to one of the directions of the hands, and then you're going to want to bring your, for example, right leg in towards your glute, kind of kick and pull, and then you're going to want to rotate your lower spine and bring that foot to the ground behind you. And you want to just stay in as relaxed position as possible. Take deep, long breaths and hold, and you'll typically feel, for me personally, I'll feel a couple of like kinks and cracks in my spine, and it'll kind of release and open up the more deep breathing I get into. And take those deep, long breaths, and just be sure to do it on the other side as well. The last thing I wanted to show you guys was the full heart opener next. I makeshift a heart opener at the gym. Typically I would use yoga blocks and set up yoga blocks in my yin restorative classes, but this foam roller actually works really well for a heart opener position. So you want to take this foam roller and you want to place it in the middle of your spine, and then you want to lay your spine down across the back of it and open up through your scapula. So you want to feel your scapula literally kind of wrap around the foam roller, and then you just want to spread your arms out into a T position and just take a couple deep breaths and relax from there, and feel your chest and pectoral muscles kind of open up, kind of wrapping around this foam roller. Alright, so my heart rate is down below 100 and I am ready to actually leave the gym. So a couple key factors here is whenever you're training upper body, you're always utilizing your shoulder joint the most, so that should be your focus of any sort of stretch you do in your upper body post-lifting routine. 2, you should always work to bring your heart rate down as you come to the ground. Remember, don't come to the ground and utilize any of the ground floor positions that I talked about until your heart rate has descended and it's not in a place where if you put your head up below your heart that you will get dizzy. So just be careful about that. And stay tuned for part 2 where we focus on low back and hips. And then part 3 is going to be focusing on hamstrings and quad stretches. So stay tuned for those series, and I hope you guys enjoyed this first little intro to upper body stretching post lifting.